In this video, we'll learn how to make lightweight textured eyebrows and eyelashes in Blender. This is part 5 of a series that goes through all the steps it takes to make a character in Blender. This video does build on the textures we made in the last video, so if you haven't been following along, make sure you check out video 4 first. Now that she's got hair, I realize I don't like the way her jaw looks, so I'm going to take a minute to sculpt this in shape. If you don't want to watch this, just look at the bookmarks below and jump to the eyelash section. Okay, so let's make sure we have our head selected. Let's go to sculpt mode. And these are face sets that are auto assigned, so let's reset that here. And okay, so her jaw has more of a steep angle here, and the sketch looks a little bit, the overall face looks a little bit narrower. So let's go and do that here. So I just use the elastic tool in sculpt mode to just push and pull things around. People might find it easier to turn off the sub D because you can see the actual points you're picking. I'm just going to leave it on. But sometimes if you're having a hard time picking a point, you can turn it off. That'll help you out. I think her jaw is a little bit wide, so let's pull that in a bit, and the sharpness is good, but it still feels too wide, so let's pull in up here more. Let's grab cheekbone here. Be careful about pulling it in too much because you'll blow through the eye. You can always move the eyeball later if you're going too much. Oops. I think this crease here, this little area here is catching too much highlight. So you can see the 4 points of this face here. If you look, these 2 points are lower than these 2 points. Let's turn it off. Here you go. If you go to edit mode and grab a face, yeah, you see that? See how the sides of that face are higher than the middle? So it's making this whole face potato chip. So let's try and even it out some so you get less of a reflection there. Sculpt mode, let's go to our draw, and for tool here, make sure we're on add. Let's drop that down, reduce that. And let's see. Is it working? Yeah, it's working. That's no good. Still too much. Okay, think that's better. Yeah, so the crease line here is a little bit softer. The jaw is a bit sharper. And it's a bit sharper, and her lower head is a bit narrower. So I think that feels better. Yeah. Okay, let's make some eyelashes. So I have a sketch or a little diagram here. So we're going to grab some geometry around her eye and shape it to follow these red lines, which is the same shape as the eyelashes. And then we're going to apply some UVs to it so it's straight along these red lines. And then we're going to apply this material for the hair onto the eyelashes and modify the material so it looks like eyelashes. So let's do that. So let's grab our head here, and we will grab some, oops, let's go to face mode and grab some geometry. Let's hide the hair here. Okay, so we'll grab some geometry around the eyes so it matches perfectly. We'll do Shift D to duplicate, Escape to drop it, Mesh, separate by selection, tab out of there, grab the thing we just duplicated, go back into edit mode, go to edge mode, grab that point here. Let's turn on our lines. So we want to make eyelashes that come out from the rim around the eyes, but we don't want it to be straight like that. We want it to kind of be like this. So it's longer on the outsides, smaller on the insides, and it kind of flares up and down a little bit. So we'll do this with the 3D cursor. So right click, right shift click, and stick it kind of in the middle. And then we can, let's see here. Let's scale it in X. Nope. Scale it in Y. Nope. Scale it around the 3D cursor in X. Okay. So I'm trying to make this new piece of geometry kind of match the outer ends of these red lines. So let's go out. Scale in Z, kind of like that. And then eyelashes also come forward, more on the outside than the inside. So we'll RZ and pull it forward, and that's too much. So maybe like that. Just go look at a bunch of pictures of eyelashes to figure out how much. But I just pull it out a bit. And then let's see here, the middle has to come out. So let's grab some faces, G, Y. You can use non-proportional editing if you want. Just don't do it too much, or you don't want to move the inside edge. You want to leave that exactly where it is to match the eyelashes. So you can just scroll this down really low. And let's pull these out. Oh, see, so since this geometry was so close down here, it moved the line around the eyelashes. So I'm going to turn it off. And yeah, okay. Something like that. I think the bottom lash can come down a bit. So we also want to, you see the red lines, how it kind of like fans out in 180 degrees. So let's do the same thing for this. So let's move these. So this one here goes almost vertically. So let's move that here. And these go in and and here it's not. So let's make that go in. And then down here it's almost perfectly horizontal. So let's, whoops. So let's make this almost horizontal by double hitting G so we can move our point along the edge. And let's see here. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm checking these other lines to see if they're good, and I think it should come up a bit more. Like, wow, she's got some pretty big eyelashes. Okay, and I think the bottom wants to come down a little bit also. And I can see I'm poking through my skin here. I'll go ahead and fix that. Oh, look, these come down more. And over here, it's coming in just a touch. Okay. And this line looks like it comes down more. Okay. That feels pretty good. Let's fix this geometry poking through. GY, like that. Right now our eyelashes are flat. We're going to curl them later. Let's also cut the top from the bottom. So we'll hit Ctrl+R and add a couple loops. Go to face mode and select that. X faces, and then we will delete some faces in the middle because the eyelashes don't go, they kind of fade out. X faces. Okay, so I've got a sub D on, so my the eyelash is all rounding off. So let's grab Shift Alt, click the outer perimeter. Then go to edge, edge crease +1, and edge mark sharp. Okay, let's get rid of this material here. So take those out. And let's make it dark just for a second so we can see. Oops. Let's go to so many. I guess we need to add a material. Okay, let's grab this. So we're also going to use the hair material and duplicate it. So we'll grab the eyelash, grab the hair, Ctrl+L, and materials. So now it copies it, and it's invisible because we didn't set UVs for the eyelashes, so it's probably like 1 point somewhere. Like, you know how the hair went invisible down here? So the eyelashes are probably down there somewhere. So let's go and go to UV editing. Go to edit mode, L and L to select all, UV unwrap. Okay, so now we have that. Let's go R, -90. So you can see we're getting some kind of hair texture going on. So we need to place this geometry to use the hair texture. So if we'll grab the hair and go to edit mode, you can see we had set the UVs to just go from top to bottom. Up here were the roots where it faded out a little tiny bit. On the bottom was the bottom of the hair where it faded out a lot more. Okay. So we're going to use this section down here where it fades out a lot more. So let's grab our eyelashes, go to edit mode. And we first also need to straighten out our UVs because we're going to use our geometry to just shape the way the hair goes. So you can see our geometry kind of fans out like our picture. So we're going to have these UVs go straight up and down so it matches this geometry, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So we'll straighten this out, right click, align Y. I have a hotkey to Shift R, so I can just grab the same thing and click Shift R. It's a hotkey on my mouse actually. So it makes it super easy to do the same command over and over again, which is great. Right click, align X, grab this, and I just click my mouse button and everything lines up. Face mode, click that. L, right click, follow active quads. Click that here. L, right click, follow active quads. Okay. And we will pull this over here. Okay. That's pretty, I think the top lashes are a bit longer. No, that's pretty good. So, and this bottom one is, yeah, this bottom one's shorter, the top one's longer. So this feels like the same proportion. So let's scale this down, bring it down to the bottom-ish area. Because we're using a procedural texture that just runs a hair texture up and down for this whole area. So you can see we've got the texture going across the whole area. Let's increase our sub D so it's not as choppy. It's getting kind of choppy. So let's increase that here. That looks better. And then it's kind of going backwards. It's thinner there and thicker there. We want the reverse. So let's go to edit mode, grab this R180. Okay. So that's pretty good. So now it's kind of this back and forth process where we mess with the texture and then mess with the geometry and mess with the UVs, and you kind of go back and forth until it looks good. So next we need to modify our texture. Okay, let's make sure we have our eyelashes selected. Let's go to the shading workspace and let's duplicate this material. Call it lashes 1. And let's scoot this over here, scoot that over there, and hide that, and pull up a UV editor window and zoom in here. Okay, so this texture is too fine, so let's lower that down. So let's make this like 1, make this 0. The way this works is this is basically a random noise pattern. So if you made everything 1, 1, 1, it'd be a random noise. If you lower this down to a smaller number, it starts stretching it out. So we're going to stretch it out like that. And this will make it higher, like that's pretty good. Z shouldn't matter, so make that 0. Then you can adjust your noise texture itself by playing with this, so you can get more dots or less dots. So you can play with that later. You kind of go back and forth and mess with things, but let's go like that. We'll delete the shininess, the anisotropic, and just attach this directly so you only have color, you don't have shininess. Then this is controlling the color of the eyelashes. Let's make it dark, like near black. And make it dark. Okay, full black. This ramp is controlling the mixing of color 2, which is full black, and color 1, which is this ramp color. Now, if you remember, our UV down here is only at the bottom section. So this ramp is only going to be this area where we're using our texture is only going to be on one part of this. So let's move this. So by moving this, you should see the color change. It's not changing there, and it is changing here. So we're only using this section of our ramp. and I want it to be black at the roots and go to color just a bit. So let's see here. Got it backwards. So just a little bit of color. Got it backwards. I had it right the first time. Okay. Yes. Color, less color. Just a bit of color. Okay. Now let's mess with our transparencies to make this look more like a more like strands of hair. So let's see here. We will make this lighter. Let's make this, these are kind of weird. You can play around with different ways. I'm going to try to do a subtract. So you only have the remaining material. I guess it's kind of abstract. Then let's see here. Let's get that something like, what we want to do is make these look like individual strands. We want to avoid, you see how it's flat at the ends? We want to avoid that. But we also want to get it to be a little bit, you want to go the full length but not have the flat things. And let's get rid of these. Okay. Okay. So something. Oh, let's try that. We can adjust it over here too. So for this, I guess you could say adjust the crispness of it. So let's see here. We will pull this over. I want it to be thicker on the bottom and thinner at the top. So it's kind of like an eyelash. See, it gets really black in the middle and it gets to be strands on the end. So something like that. We'll have a few pieces of geometry. So this will be more than just what you see here. So yeah, something like that. Oh, I like that. It's much thicker. But now we're getting some flat spots right there. I don't like the flat spots. So maybe more. Maybe like that. It looks a little bit coarse, but I like how these feel. So let's go and add some noise to it. I mean, adjust the scale a bit so, you know, something. Something like that. Maybe add some smaller details to it. Okay. And let's, oh, it's shiny. Let's take out that shine. So we'll lower the specular and increase the roughness. Maybe have a little bit of shine, but hardly anything. Still too much. Okay. And I think there's still too much color. So let's go like that. Yeah. Okay, so that's our basic eyelash. And it looks okay. Obviously it's really sparse, so we'll add some more to that. But first, let's see, if you look at our example, you can see how the eyelashes get short on the inside. That's actually okay there. Well, I guess we're okay. I was going to mess with the UVs a bit. I'm going to show you anyway, just so you have the option to mess with the UVs, to adjust the edges of the lashes. But we actually, maybe we can use it right here. Yeah, right here it's a little bit long, so let's do that. So go to edit mode and go to UVs, and then grab a point or two so you know where you are on your UV. And if you hit G and Y, you can move the points on the UV editor up and down. You can see here what that does to the texture on the geometry. You can see it makes it smaller. So let's do that. It's a nice way to adjust things. So if this was too long, that's actually pretty good. So maybe this is too long here. So you can move it down and it'll shorten it, or make it longer if we want shorter. Okay. So that's pretty good. I think we need to, let's see here. So we need to name this. We should make a folder for our eyelashes. So new collection, eyelashes, and we will grab our eyelashes and put them in there and name them lashes 01. So this next part is kind of optional. So what we're going to do is duplicate this mesh a few times and then just mess with the mesh a little bit so it looks like there's a whole bunch of hairs instead of just this, sparse layer of hair. In some other programs like Unity, Blender shows the front and the back side of the mesh. Some other programs don't deal with that very well. So one way to get around that is you take your mesh and you duplicate it and then you mirror it. And I find also offsetting it just a tiny bit can sometimes help too. So this is optional. I'm going to do this anyway. You don't need to do it for, like, we're going to duplicate this several times and make it look like a whole bunch of hair. You don't really need to do that for all of the eyelashes, but at least one layer. So if you happen to catch a view from the back and you see the eyelashes, it just doesn't look invisible. So hope that makes sense. So let's duplicate that, Shift D, then go call this 01 flipped. We'll go to edit mode, face mode, A. Let's zoom in on it. We'll do Alt S to scale it. Scale it backwards just a tiny bit. That's too much. Okay, like that. And we want to flip the normals. So this is how you can see which way the normals are. Go to face orientation. So you can see blue is forward facing, or the normal direction. Red is the inside direction or back direction. So we want to flip this. So go to mesh, normals, and flip. So now we have the lashes flipped facing backwards. And then if we hide that, you can see the lashes, the wrinkle lashes are facing forward. So this way, if you're in some programs that don't play nice with this, then you'll see black eyelashes when you come around the back side of the head. Okay. Let's turn off our face orientation. There. Okay. Okay, let's go to our modeling window and let's zoom in here. So I realized I forgot to do something. We want to, lashes are supposed to curl also. So let's see here. So let's delete the flipped one. Let's go to edit mode here and hit Ctrl+R and add a loop. Same thing for down there. And just pull it in towards the middle just a touch. And then we will, let's see here, grab this guy and we will shift right click right in the little corner of the eyelashes, and then let's just rotate this down around the 3D cursor. So we want to curl it like that. Okay. Maybe rotate that down a bit. Oh yeah, that's nicer. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's do the same thing for this one, except I'm going to pull it in a bit. RZ. And I'm going to move this up a bit. Like that. Okay, that's better. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll Shift D to duplicate this, go to edit mode, face mode, A, Alt S, and scooch it back just a bit. And then mesh, flip normals. We can check it to make sure we're going the right direction. Yes, blue and blue. Okay. So where to go? Lashes 01, flipped. Okay, now let's go and duplicate our lashes, go to edit mode, point mode, and let's go back and scooch these around so that way it looks like you've got lots of eyelashes going on. Let's pull these in a bit. Let's like pull that over here a bit. Let's get over there. pull that back. And we can also pull these down to give it some volume from the sides. So it feels thicker. Okay, that's pretty good. Then let's do the same thing for the top. So we'll see here. Let's just grab that. Again, just trying to make this whole inside area just pretty black, filled in. And then up here, we just want to vary it so it looks like it's nice and random. Because we're basically taking the same thing and, you know, duplicating it so it's easy for people to notice patterns like that. So if you can really mess with it, and not just left and right, you can go up and down. This way, people won't be able to detect that pattern. And also make sure you pull this stuff back to create some volume. Okay, it's looking better. I think her bottom eyelashes are too thick, or the top is too thin. So let's go and add another one. So this was 2. And we will duplicate this, Shift D, wait, what happened? Shift D. So we're going to go to edit mode, and I'm going to delete this bottom one and just add some more volume to the top. So let's see here. So we'll pull this back even further. Get that, where is it? Get that one, pull that up also. And pull this over like that. If you use F2, which is a great plugin, it's right next to the G button. And if you're not careful, you hit F, and it really messes things up. So this is hitting F, and you can't always notice it. So if you use F2 like I do, really be careful for that, because it can create bad geometry that will really confuse you later. I think the top one needs to be thicker still, and the bottom one is too thick. So let's go and mess with that. So let's get our O2 lash. Let's call that O3 top. Let's duplicate that. Shift D. Let's call it O4 top. You can see each one of these has 42 faces, so it's pretty low poly. It's not low poly, but it's pretty lightweight. So I'm getting tired of turning the edges on and off, so I'm just going to leave it off there and leave it on here. So this way, you know, I'm too lazy to turn it off and on. So this way I can see it without having to hit my little hotkey on the mouse, because I am that lazy. Okay. So I think it's pretty good. Let's also pull some of this backwards to add some volume. Let's actually pull it forward a bit. And then we'll get this row of loops, points. And we will move it forward. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so that's feeling pretty good. I like that. It feels like it has enough volume and randomness to look good. The bottom's too thick, so I'm going to mess with that some. So let's grab one of these here. Make sure we don't have our... So I'm not going to mess with... Since O1 and O1 flipped are exactly the same, just mirrored, don't mess with those. So I'm going to mess with O2. You could, then you just have to delete the flipped and then do the whole thing again. So you can if you want to. Let's look here. So I'm just going to shorten these. So it's a lot smaller. I'm going to delete some faces. So you can see here, so this is good actually. So I deleted these faces and now you can see that the edge rounded off. That's because our sub D rounds off things if it's not marked with an edge or a crease. So edge, mark sharp, mark sharp. Oh, sorry. It's edge crease +1. There we go. So now you can see this is crisp again. And this geometry is poking through. We don't want that. So GZ to pull this up. I don't know if you can see what's happening here. Okay. So you can see this geometry is going too low. So we'll just pull that up. Our other one's doing the same thing. So we'll pull that up too. Okay, so bottom lash, still too thick. It's too thick right here. I really don't want to mess with this O1, but I think we need to. So delete that, grab our main lash, and then let's pull this in. Yeah, that helps. Let's now duplicate this again, Shift D, go to face mode, A, zoom in, let's get rid of this here, Alt S, and jog it back a bit, mesh, flip normals, we can check it to make sure our normals are going the right direction. Let's see here. Okay, so that is correct. It's going, this is O1 flipped. Okay. So that is going the correct direction, and 01 is going the correct direction. So turn that off. And eyelashes. All right, let's turn her hair back on. Hair here. And we will go and hide that and show these. So this is the basic strategy we're going to do. So if you look at this eyebrow here, you can see the hair. The hair kind of goes all over the place. So over here, it's going up like that. Then it starts to go more acutely over here. And it also comes down from the top in this section. And then it goes more acutely out to the end. So we'll do that. We'll fake that in by creating a piece of geometry that has this basic flow. And we'll have the edges flowing like the eyebrow hair does. And then we'll take our eyelash texture and just have it follow the natural flow of the mesh we create, and it should look roughly like an eyebrow. You can see also on the top, the hair that comes down will create a second piece of geometry that mimics that part. And then we'll fold it in on itself to kind of create some depth to it and fill in some space. And we'll probably duplicate a couple of these to fill it out and make it look nice. Okay, so let's go and do that. We'll probably have to duplicate a texture too. Okay, so let's grab our eyebrow, shift click an eyelash, Ctrl+L and materials, and it's invisible, which is okay because we need to change our UVs. And then we will go over here and we will duplicate that texture and call this browse 1. Go to the shading workspace and make sure we've got that selected. UV unwrap, UV unwrap, and see what we got here. So R90, G, let's make sure we've got this oriented correctly. And yes, so that's on the top and that is on the outside. Okay, so now let's flatten this out again. Right click, align Y, and Shift R, right click, align X, and Shift R, faces mode, click, L, right click, follow active quads, and we'll move this down here. So the eyebrows, so it starts off from the skin, so it's a little bit thinner, I guess you could say, in that part. And it comes out over here into, I guess, the main part of the eyebrow, and it tapers out as each hair does. So we want to have our eyebrows, you know, start off thin and then get big and then go thin again. And let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, so we just need to mess with the transparency. So I think, as you can recall, we're only using this one little section here. So we can take this and move it here. Oh, I had it backwards. Okay, so we'll go for gray and then white in the middle. Make sure that's white. And I think I want it more strandy. So let's see, scale or scale? I think scale. More like that. Duplicate this guy here, make this white. So that's where the hair starts. And then I guess it tapers out more at the top. So more like that. And yeah, this looks really funny, but we're going to duplicate this a few times. And I think we're also going to change the scale some more. So it's like that. Maybe we can soften this. Let's turn on cycles so we can see what it looks like when we render it, and Ctrl+B to do a view region. Let's make this more contrasty by making this, the line between the white and the dark, closer. So if you pull it all the way back, it's all the way dark. If you pull it all the way up here, it really tapers. So let's do something, oops, in between. Let's make it look more thin in the middle. Let me make this bottom part thinner. Since this hair pattern is basically a stretched noise, let's add some noise to our noise. That looks finer. Okay, I think we can work with that. View region, here we go, clear. Okay, I think that'll work okay. Let's go to our modeling window and lay out our eyebrows. Let's go to our front view here. Let's get these out of the way here. So grab our eyebrows and let's just drag these and shape them the way we want them to look, more like these eyebrows here. I think in our sketch she looks too sad. Let's rotate this. So you can see the eyebrows, they kind of go, they start low and they go up and back down again. Also, if you see the eyebrow is wider than the eye, so let's do that too. So let's see here. So this should, we're going to stretch these. Try not to stretch things too much. Pull everything over so you don't notice that stretching too much. Speaking of stretching, you can see how the ends of this are curving. That's because it's got a sub D. If you turn it off, it's okay. So let's make this squared. The way hair is. Maybe that end's okay. Edge crease, +1. Okay, that's better. And then let's also remember to shape our mesh like the hair is. So it starts up going pretty vertical, then it starts to go more acute and go towards the outside. But before we do that, let's do this. Let's grab this, Shift D and GZ, just to get that. Because we're going to duplicate this a few times. So let's make sure we've got some to use in case we skew this one too much. Okay, so over here, it's pretty much up and down. And over here, it starts to go out. And then over here, it's going a lot more out. If you hit G and Y, you go forward and back. GX goes left and right. And so let's see here. Okay, still going out. Maybe this is too much. GY to go forward. You can see GY does this. And I'm not trying to be super accurate and make the eyebrows super close to the head. I'm just trying to get the mesh and the textures to feel right. So let's, you can also hit Alt-S to pull it away from the head. Let's pull this one in here, get that one down there. It's kind of long. This is pulling the textures quite a bit, so it's kind of asking a lot of the mesh, but I think it's okay. Okay. Let's see now. I think it goes thicker here. And there. Yeah. Okay. And these inside hairs here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. So now let's lay down this second piece up here, the blue one, which catches the hair on the top, then blends with the hair on the bottom. So let's grab this, Shift D, and then Tab, GZ, and pull it up until it looks like this far away from the bottom one. And then let's mess with these points again. So the bottom ones go out from the bottom, the top ones go out from the top. So let's pull the bottom points this way, the top points that way. And you can see I have a generous overlap from the top to the bottom. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do, let's go, Shift D, and then Escape. And then I'm going to go Edit Mode, Ctrl R, and add a loop. Then let's just grab these top ones here and pull that up and in. We'll grab the middle row and pull that out. And then we'll go to Edge Mode and Shift E +1. Okay, so Shift E is edge crease. So crease that, and you can see here what do these do? So kind of, yeah, so the bottom ones come out and the top ones come out and match it. So let's make these kind of roughly match that. And then these were pretty acute if I remember here. Yeah, they actually almost, they actually kind of disappear up here. So let's make these really low on the ends and have it kind of pop out up here. Something like that. Then what happens up here? They're starting, so they kind of start up here. So let's pull that back here. Yeah, I guess they kind of, on the inside, the top hairs kind of match the top, the bottom eyebrow hairs. So kind of do that. And as it goes outwards, they'll start going more acutely towards the outside. So let's see. Okay. Ooh, kind of crispy on top. Let's see here. Okay, that's getting somewhere. This needs some layering. Oh, that's weird. This needs a little bit of layering. It's this new piece is too in line with the old one, so it's making a super sharp edge. We want to stagger all of these eyebrow geometries so it looks like it's kind of fuzzy almost. Let's pull this one. Oops. The G button's right next to the H button, so if you see things disappearing, it's because you're hitting the H button. I do that quite frequently. I also hit the F button a lot. That messes things up. This crest of the top lash is not really matching the bottom one. So let's pull that out a bit more. Pull it up a bit more. More like that. Okay. Let's see now. So what do we need here? I think we need a second hair on the top because it's too light up there. So let's grab this, Shift D, escape, edit mode. Let's tweak it further. So let's see here. So you can see, since I duplicated it exactly and then I'm moving it slightly, you can see it makes it much darker, which is nice. But you also have to make sure you move it so you don't start to see patterns. You don't want to see the same hair pattern twice. It'll start looking kind of fakey. It's already kind of fakey, but you just want it to blend. So everything is kind of randomized. Let's check this here. And it's awful dark. This bottom looks kind of brown. So let's go to shading mode. And remember how we had that little fade of color? So let's just take that out. So let's go here, let's see here, and darken this. Now I think it's definitely too dark, but it doesn't have that weird fade, which helps. So let's see here. So I think what we're gonna do is delete this new one here. Let's just move it up in case we want to use it again. And let's just add a single piece like this one, but to the top. So how do we do that? Let's just duplicate it. Okay. GZ and pull that up a little bit here. Go to edit mode and let's just mess with these points again. So we have to pull these all in here and pull these out. The middle eyelash hairs kind of match the center, so let's do that. And then they start pulling outwards as you go towards the outside of her head. So maybe something, I think we're submerging, so Alt S, oops, GY. So there's a little weird bald spot right below our new piece of eyebrow hair, but we can use this one that we had from earlier and pull that down, and let's just shrink it. So we'll pull that up. Let's make sure we're not going inside. GY and GY. You don't want your geometry to go inside because you can see here how it cuts off. You don't want to see that. So make sure you're outside of the head. And we'll go through and clean this all up a little bit later. For now, let's see here. Okay, I think we're pretty close. I think we're looking pretty good. Let's put her hair back on to get kind of a reality check and see if it's feeling right. I think they're a little bit thick. And then, yeah, and I think that'll be just about it. So I'm going to record just using my artistry to shape them and make them a little bit thinner. But it's going to be nothing new. So feel free to watch it if you want. If not, I'll see you in the next video where we learn how to bake the textures for the eyebrows, eyelashes, and the hair. Oh, forgot. Let's make sure all of our hair is outside the head. Let's see here. Oh, too big of a gap here. So let's fix that. GY, GY. You can grab the piece of hair you're working on and the head and hit the slash key. Yeah. And then this way you just have the two pieces and you can more easily work with them. You could do your snaps here. You can turn this on. I think it works more like snaps perpendicular to your view. So if you grab a point like that and hit G, it snaps down. So you can do that. Let me see here. You can see here, this is more of a side view. This is more straight on. So if you hit G, you can see it snaps down. So that's okay, but I find it submerges. And so you have to go and change it again and pull it out. So you turn it off again and then hit like Alt S and just subtly pop it out. So that's good. Because our geometry is skewed so much, it's going to have a slightly hard time matching the head geometry. But what we'll do is, since the geometry for these eyebrows are so light, we will sub D it and just apply it. So we'll have more geometry to work with. So when you animate them later, you won't have this skewed geometry, won't be causing the eyebrows to submerge into the head when you're animating it. And these don't need to be super close to the head because you just don't notice it. And since I like these, I'm going to Ctrl+R, grab just the middle ones, and Alt+S and pop it out just a bit so we have some depth. Okay, slash to go back out again. And let's grab another one. And so we will grab those two, go to edit mode. Okay, it's pretty good. Slash back out. Let's see what else is not lining up. Is that one lining up? This one is not lining up. You can see it's pretty sloppy. It's not touching. It's not an airtight seal, but it's fine. Okay, I think they're all okay. So we will delete this guy. Yeah, let's save that. Let's save that in case we want to use it later. We'll put in the archive. Archive. So this way, later on, if you want to make some eyebrows, you can just grab that and, duplicate it a few times. So let's check this out here. Okay, it's fitting tighter now. So now I will go and shape these. Let's pull that in. And I want these to be thinner. So let's see. I think this curving on the inside is not looking good. So I'm going to go and fix those. I'm going to Shift E. I always forget that one. +1. And a little curve is nice. So let's do that. And this too has got too much curve. Let's fix that. Shift E, +1. Point mode, and let's curve it just slightly. Oh, actually, this is flat. Okay. Let's pull this. I like how this kind of comes up here, but it's still a little bit too thick. So maybe I'll leave this point and pull this one down. And pull this one down. I like this little sharp corner there. So I want to keep that. And I'm thinking, let's keep that while I tweak everything else to accentuate that. But kind of be careful, because once you start obsessing over detail, you kind of end up over exaggerating it. So I was going to keep doing more to increase it, but I'm going to stop now because I think I might overdo it. Okay, I think we're looking good. So we've got eyebrows and eyelashes. And let's get her hair back on. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. There you go. We've got eyebrows and eyelashes. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you want to see more content like this, please leave a message, subscribe, or better yet, support me on Patreon. And in the next video, we will learn how to bake the textures for the eyebrows, eyelashes, and the hair.